Welcome to episode 29 of the Barely Onside podcast with your host, Jonny G and Pelly. How you doing, man?
Doing good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
Are ya?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
How are you feeling about today's trade deadline day?
Quality over quantity. That's one thing for sure. Lots of great trades today. As for what happened with Montreal, a little disappointed. I really wanted them to do something. You know what I mean? Anything. Well, not anything. I just wanted some help at the second center or a second center position, second line center position, because we don't have a second line center right now. We have Owen Beck, good young prospect, love him to death, but when Martin St. Louis decides to play him 8 minutes a game, then obviously you realize he's not someone who Marty feels like he can trust or rely on. So therefore, that second line becomes a little less effective, a little less used, and then we're playing the top line more. We're playing the third, fourth line, and relying on those lines when we do just need a second line center so we can roll four lines. And just give a little extra support to that top line, especially. You want a good second line. So the fact that they did nothing today is disappointing for sure. Do I believe in Kent Hughes? Do I believe that he's got a plan? And do I believe he will execute that plan in the summer? I do. 100%. Because Kirby Dach, I don't think Kirby Dach is that second line center that they were hoping he was going to be. So it's time to move on, not from the player, but from the idea of him being a second line center. So I believe Kent Hughes will get it done in the summer. So I'll have to wait. And I wish we had some help for the playoff push. It's not coming. We have who we have. And let's go. I'm still excited. I still believe this group can get it done. I just wish they had a little bit more help, but they're not getting that help. So moving on. All right. Anything to add?
I think for the fans, I do believe he could have done something because Owen Beck, he's played maybe 10 games. So I think to the fans, they could have maybe grabbed someone, just a rental, someone who costs $1 million or $2 million. It's a grinder. What's Ryan O'Reilly's contract worth?
I think he makes about 4.5, and he's got two more years on the deal.
That's a little much.
But I like it though.
I know. I just wish they could have done something for you guys because Flyers aren't doing much. So I'm rooting for you guys. So I was kind of hoping they would have kind of filled that spot. But hey, maybe Beck can step up if he's listening.
Yeah, get a little more. You hear that, Beck? Do it. Get her done, brother. It's a great opportunity for Beck. It's a great opportunity to continue to play, Yeah. But the thing is, it would have been nice to have the second line center, and then you can put Beck back into the AHL, back into Laval, who's gonna go, who's making the playoffs, and they're hoping to go on a deep run. And Beck will be there for the deep run no matter what. But it would just be nice for him to go back now, just play some important games down there. But I'm sure. Yeah, but I'm sure him playing in these games up here is probably better for his development. Then he'll go on the playoff run, so we'll see. But yeah, so I'm over it. It's too bad, but I'm over it. So so I'm excited to move on because today was an exciting day. Like I said earlier, quality over quantity. There wasn't a ton of trades. I think there was a lot at the end, kind of coming in late, but not big trades, but pretty slow. But some
there was
really
a lot
interesting
left
names.
On the table. Yeah, a lot left on the table. Right.
There were for sure. But how about we get into Philly, man? Because obviously, you guys have been kind of waiting for some moves. Danny's been doing a lot of talking on trying to set this team in the right direction and making the trades and getting cap space and all these kind of things. So his first move of the day was trading Andrei Kuzmenko a UFA. He was obviously traded to Philadelphia from Calgary in the Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee deal. In 7 games with Philadelphia, he had 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. And the Flyers in return get a 2027 third-round pick. It seemed like he was a good fit in Philly. What do you think about this?
Man, I believe since the return of the Four Nations, I think the guys who turned it on was Eminem and Tippett, right? And I think having his little Russian friend, I think it helped. And his attitude was so fun. He seems like a good locker room guy. And Torts liked him, right? But I was really sad to see that he left today. I mean, if would have got something good in return, but the fact that we're eating half of his salary and what came back, a third-round pick?
A third-round pick, yeah.
That's garbage. It's F. Yeah, shit, right? So I think they could have done a little bit better, or maybe not eat any of the cap space. And yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed, but seeing that we got, Toronto's young stud coming up, he fits that box.
Another
back
Russian,
check,
right?
forecheck, paycheck. Yeah, absolutely. A young guy who's 21, 6'2", 210. Yeah, that's a good young big body, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely made me feel a little bit happier of what's coming from Toronto. I mean, obviously losing Laughton sucks, but man, Toronto. I had like 5 buddies from Toronto text me today because they live in Toronto. They're diehards. Tell me about Laughton. He's a complete player. He's a really good penalty killer, blocks, hits. He's a gritty player, and he's a good third line center. Unreal, right? So, and he's the biggest thing. I think he was the biggest locker room piece for Philly, right? So, yeah, I'm excited for him. He's going back home. Excited for the Leaf fans, and yeah, let's see what happens if Torts is going to let this guy play right away, or if he's getting sent down to the Phantoms. I mean, at this point, I'm not sure if we're trying to chase that spot. I hope we are, but yeah, I don't know. It's I'm happy with it. So
yeah, and of course you're talking about the Scott Laughton trade to Toronto, and I'll break that down for you. It is going to Toronto was just Scott Laughton. Flyers are getting a 2026 first-round draft pick, and then who you were talking about, the other Russian, was Nikita Grabenkin. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but it looks like that. That's probably right. He has played 7 games in the NHL this year, no points, but he is more of a grinder. He's more of an energy fella. So Marlies, he's actually having a decent year with the Marlies, the AHL team, of course. 39 games played, 9 goals, 21 points. But yeah, we've seen this guy. He's gone viral a few times. Like, he's just a character and a half. He seems very excited. Seems like he's the kind of guy who doesn't mind getting dirty. Forecheck. He likes, he works hard. Yeah. So he works hard. Obviously, didn't get a lot of time in the NHL, but that could change, right? I believe that he'll get a chance to play with you guys. A little less depth than the Leafs. And the Leafs, obviously don't really have a lot of room for prospects, and as they chase their Stanley Cup. So I think that's a good return, man. Honestly, Scott Laughton's a gem of a hockey player for sure, and there's still 1 more year after this on his contract, right? So Toronto gets 2 years out of him, I believe, or a year and a half. I think he's not a UFA, right?
A year and a half, and then we get that first round draft pick too, which is nice, right? So
yeah, that's huge. I mean, and it's a conditional. I don't know what the condition is actually, but a first round draft pick. I mean, it's going to be a late first round draft pick, but I mean, I think that's the market. I think if you can get a first round draft pick for a third line center, I think you've done a good job. And I like Nikita. I think that might be. I think he'll do well in Philly, man. I think he's the type of player that will do well in Philly.
I'm happy for him. Like, once that came back, and I kind of wasn't as upset with the whole Kuzmenko leaving, but it makes it better in the end. So it balances the budget. So
yeah, it balances it out for sure.
It balances out. But yeah, I'm happy that we kept Risto too, right? So Risto's a big piece. Right. But I'm shocked he didn't go, because there's not many good right-handed defensemen that kind of plays that physical role and can move the puck. So like I said, there's a lot of guys left on the table this year, but I was kind of shocked. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
Big moves though. Some big moves.
Big
like you
moves.
said.
Before we get to the yeah, exactly, quality over quantity. But before we get to that, which we will right away here, just quickly, the Avalanche traded Philadelphia made
Eric
one
Johnson.
more move. Eric Johnson, who didn't really have much of a role on this team this year. He had played 22
leadership.
games. He had 3 points. I don't remember the last time he played.
It's probably 2 weeks ago he played. I remember when Sanheim, I think, took a rest day. But his job was he wanted to come back from being traded from last year, and Torts has said we want you as that leadership role, just to kind of help the younger guys out. And I think that's what he did good. So, so yeah, he's chasing that cup again. So
yeah, back to Colorado. Coming your way is Giovanni Smith, 0 points in 13 games, but I'm pretty sure he's known for a little more than points. That's for sure, right? He's more of a grinder kind of guy. Does he fight? I think he fights.
Physicality. Oh yeah, he'll fight.
Yeah. So I mean, not a huge deal there, but that rounds out Philly for the day. Not a bad day for Philly, I have to say.
No.
Overall, yeah. I think Toronto will be very happy with Scott Laughton.
Oh yeah, they'll be happy.
And now you get a chance to cheer for the Leafs in the playoffs.
Yeah, Leafs and the Flames now. Bunch of guys going, so good for them.
All right,
hopefully.
so you're talking big. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Just gonna say, hopefully the Leafs can get past the second round and
First round.
You're right.
I
got more faith in them. They're lighting it up this year, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching the Leafs lose almost as much as I like watching the Habs win. So I can't wait for playoffs either way. In or out of the playoffs, I'm good. All right, so let's get to the big trades. Not our teams, but these are huge trades. Rantanen traded again. He went to Dallas with an 8-year, $12 million extension in place. So obviously that's big news right there. But he played 13 games with the Hurricanes, scored 2 goals, 6 points. He was obviously in that deal for Martin Nakash. That was a blockbuster at the time. Carolina couldn't sign this guy, couldn't get it done, so they were forced to trade him again. Coming back to the Hurricanes is Logan Stankoven. He's got 9 goals, 29 points in 59 games. Also, this is huge. They got 2 first-round draft picks, one in 2026, one in 2027 coming back, and then 2 third-round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027. So, I mean, not ideal. They wanted to keep Rantanen, right? They wanted to sign him. That was the intention when they signed Martin or traded for him. Didn't work out. I don't know why people don't want to sign in Carolina. Why? It's
yeah,
place,
I don't know.
no?
You'd think good plays, good leadership. You got Rod the Bod. I mean, yeah, man. You got Burns there. Who's their captain? Stahl. Yeah, they have a stacked team, man.
Aho,
Aho,
Svechnikov,
Shvechky.
Seth Jarvis. Like they got a good team. They've been competitive
They got a really good
for
team.
years, right? But like they just can't. Like Gensel got traded there last year, didn't want to sign. Yeah,
Weird.
like
I don't
it's
know.
good weather, right on the
Yeah,
coast.
it's Carolina. It's nice. Yeah,
Beautiful,
Good weather,
like,
man.
good hockey market for the most part, right?
And I think it's
Like-
less
like-
pressure too. You're not under a microscope either, right? Which is, I think, good
Yeah.
for some players, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm thinking maybe it could be like their system, right? Because like the dump and chase,
they
that's
play
their
a tougher
style.
system.
Work hard, right? Like that's kind of their game. And maybe a guy like
cool.
Gensel, who is a little more offensive, Rantanen, who's obviously plays a different kind of game. Maybe they just didn't like the style of game. But I mean, it's surprising. It surprises me that that this all kind of, played out like this. Kind of strange. But I mean, what do you think of the return?
Carolina won again, just like they won with Colorado.
You like that deal for them coming back?
I thought Colorado lost, and I think Dallas. I mean, Dallas got Rantanen, and they locked him in for 8 years, right? But I mean, you just gave up your big rookie who had unreal breakout year to the end of the season and playoffs last year, and then you get 2 first rounds, I think it's a good trade-off, right? So
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I think they both did well, and Dallas is, they're loading up, man. So
Yeah, Dallas looks good, man. Yeah, who was I listening to? I was listening to Daily Face Off today, their podcast, their live show. And I think it was Frank Saravelli. He just made a really good point. He's like, if Carolina had traded Nakash and who was it, Jack Drury, to Dallas for Logan Stankoven, 2 first-round draft picks and 2 third-round draft picks, then I think that everyone would say that's a good deal, right? Like that's a good return. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously the way it played out, it's kind of weird. It's a little, but at the end of the day, like if you take Mikko Rantanen out of the equation, they got rid of Nakash or they let him go because he kind of wanted to go. And I think that's where they were headed anyways. And to get Logan Stankoven, a nice young little player, and then those 2 first rounders, I think it's a good deal. Yeah. They did the best that they could in that tough situation, but that should be interesting, man. It's going to make them a lot better. Let's move on to Colorado because Colorado obviously had a big trade deadline. So last night, last night, all started last night. I think I texted you on your other phone, and then you texted me on your other phone. I don't know if you saw mine, and
I did.
We did, okay. But it was a great way to go to bed. It was Brock Nelson to the Avs. He 50% retained. His salary's retained. And William Dufour. Don't know a lot about that kid. But to the Islanders, Cal Ritchie, a very high-touted prospect playing, I think, in the in Oshawa, playing with the Oshawa Generals in the OHL. So according to what's his name? Frank Saravelli, he's a can't-miss prospect, so that's good. Oliver Clinington, and a 2026 first-round pick, conditional 2028 third-round pick. So obviously a good deal, man. Brock Nelson, what do you think of Brock Nelson?
Yeah, he's a stud. He can score. Yeah, they did well, man. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to have to come down to their goaltending in the end, really, right? They're stacked on the bottom and the top. It's just hopefully the goaltending can prevail, right? So, But Coyle, he'll do well.
Yeah, another big trade there. Coyle for Casey Middlestat. That's I don't know how to feel about that trade for.
Well, Middlestat really didn't
Bruins,
have.
right?
Yeah, but Coyle's big, man. He's a big player. I don't know. Middlestat didn't have the best year either, right? So it's tough. But I think they both kind of needed to switch up. So, and I think Boston's accepted that they're rebuilding, right? So.
Yeah, totally. I think that was quite clear over the last week or so. Is that, they're not. They've accepted their fate. They've accepted the reality that they're on their way down, and they need to rebuild. I don't know how intense their rebuild is going to be. I don't know how much they're going to strip it. I don't know, but it's obviously they've done some big moves. And for Colorado, Charlie Coyle, I think you told me this earlier. Probably one of the best third line centers in the game, right? Yeah, and he's got the experience. I don't know if he's won a cup, but he's gone to finals. Right? Yeah, I don't think he was. He wasn't on the 2011 team.
No, he wasn't.
No, that would have been 13 years ago. No way in hell.
I keep thinking.
But he's gone to the finals, and once Bergeron left and Krejci, they moved him up in the lineup, and he's been good. But I don't think it worked out. Obviously he can't replace those guys, and he's more suited for a third line role. So. I think Colorado, man, down the middle, you look at McKinnon, Brock Nelson, and Charlie Coyle. I mean, they're set down the middle. And then, Casey Middlestat to the Bruins, 26-year-old, had 11 goals, 34 points. Kind of a down year. after having a breakout year last year before being traded, or he was started the year with Buffalo, got traded to Colorado, but he had a career year last year. But now he gets a new start in Boston. So yeah, I don't think he's going to make that team much better, but
like looking at Coyle's stats, it's hard to believe that he's played 931 games. That's incredible, right? Like 931 games played, 472 points. Like that's incredible for and I didn't know he was 33. I thought he'd be like 30, 31. But I mean, man, he's just, like I said, he's probably one of the best third line centers out there with that big body and presence. Yeah, Colorado's going to do well with him. So happy for him to try it out. So
yeah, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, Middlestat's young too, so I think Boston needs that, right? So he's what,
26? He's a kind of he's 26. He's a soft kind of a soft player, but I don't know. I was never a big fan of him when I watched him in Buffalo, but he had a really good year last year. But I don't know. They traded him for Byram. I can't say this kid's name.
I know.
Bo Byram?
Bo Byram. Yeah.
Bo Byram.
Which was
so
silly.
yeah.
They should have kept him. Yeah.
Bo Byram? Yeah. I mean, they thought that Casey Middlestat was going to be their number 2 center, but it just hasn't worked out for them, which is why they went and got Brock Nelson and then obviously Charlie Coyle. Okay, dude. This one kind of hits me hard a little bit, this next trade. And of course we're going to Ottawa and Buffalo. Dude, man, to the Sabres, Josh Norris, 25-year-old, 20 goals, 33 points, 53 games. Jacob Bernard Docker. And to the Sens, Dylan Cozens, 24 years old, 61 games, 11 goals, 31 points. And Dennis Gilbert, which is a nice bottom pairing defenseman who's physical and stand up for teammates. That's a good get. And then a 2026 second round pick. When I saw this deal, I was like, no. It's the last team I thought who was going after Cozens. Surprising. It surprised me.
I did not expect that at all. I feel like Buffalo gave too much. I feel like they gave up way too much. I would have kept Gilbert, but they want Gilbert because he's, physical. But I mean, I would have kept it probably just at 1-1 straight across, But if Norris can finish a season without getting hurt, I mean, that'd be great. He hasn't played a full season yet, right? So that's a big risk taking a guy like that.
It is.
And you can see how emotional Brady was too. I mean, they're obviously looks like they're pretty close, right? So he must be a big locker room piece too. Then if the guy's getting that emotional, especially a physical man like Brady, right? So good for him though. Hey, it's good for him showing that. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for Ottawa.
Me too, man.
They're going for it, man. They're loading up, and I'm that's happy. I know that you don't like that, but as seeing Giroux possibly trying to chase that cup makes me happy too, right? So I'm looking forward to the Eastern Conference. I'm not gonna lie. Do you know what's Ottawa, funny? Toronto, it's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean Cozens, they've obviously Dylan's been struggling, right? He's been, he had a really good year 2 years ago, and ever since he really hasn't found his game. Do you know what, man? We've talked about this before, and it's kind of sad. It really is sad, but the kid that came into the league. And the player now, they're just so different. He came in just hungry and gritty, and he would drop the gloves and all that kind of stuff. And then he ran into, was it Hathaway? And just the guy just broke his nose, demangled his face, ever since he hasn't been the same. And I wonder if that really really impacted him, because there's probably one thing about fighting someone and just taking the normal punches and whatever, and you give some, you take some, but then to just have someone smash your nose in to the point where you're just you can't even defend yourself. I don't know, man.
I think it was a rude awakening. I think it's a rude awakening, John. You have to know if you're fighting a grown ass man like Hathaway, Cozens is considered a kid at, early 20s fighting a guy like Hathaway. Yeah, he got a shit kicking. And I think it kind of maybe gave him a wake-up call, and I think maybe he's playing more, more awareness. But
Yeah, more reserved.
Yeah, he hasn't. Yeah, and I mean, it happens. I think you just have to know your audience, right? Who can you go against that's going to be a good matchup and not. But there's some guys that are small, like look at Lomberg,
Yeah,
the guy's
Lomberg
ferocious. Like he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
Some guys are strong, some guys are tough, and some guys can take a licking and give it back to you, right? So,
Yeah.
but hey, there's always someone tougher. That's there's always someone tougher, no matter.
Yeah,
what.
you just
It
gotta
only takes
protect
one
yourself,
punch.
right? Yeah, that's the thing, and
Absolutely, right?
yeah, and like I remember watching that interview after, he finally spoke to the media after the fight, and after I think he was right before he came back, but he was out for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was, and he's like, yeah, I have to make sure that I know who I'm fighting and blah blah blah, and he just seems so like down about it, and so like it's just like
I think he felt ashamed that he lost. It's a fight. You lost. One person wins, some loses. It is what it is.
It would have been nicer though. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I mean, I think he kind of, I don't know. You just can't let that shit bother you. I mean, someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, and unfortunately, like, he got his ass kicked. Whatever on live television. It is what it is. There's some people that, well, there's some people that get knocked out. Like that's not and you don't ever want to see someone, get TK'd out on the ice and get really hurt.
No.
It happens, man. But I think he just felt a little bit ashamed, right? So
yeah, for sure. So, but there's, you know what though? His captain in Ottawa will probably get his confidence back, man. He'll probably have a lot of fun playing with this guy. And like Cozens, like he's been stuck with like Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka. Peterka's having a great year, but
sensitive team, more of a sensitive
but
team.
Yeah, more of a soft team. But now he goes to a place where he gets to play
they're
with
hungry.
Kachuk. Yeah, maybe he gets to play with Stutzel. Like he's got legit players that he's playing with now.
Exactly,
so I mean, I think Cozens might pop off. We'll see, but obviously a good start. And that they weren't done there. Okay, they also acquired Fabian Zetterlund, 25-year-old, 17 goals, 36 points in 64 games. Last year he had a career high 24 goals. And then who else? Tristan Robbins and a 4th-round draft pick. Going back to the Sharks was Zach Ostapachuk. I don't know how to say his name. But Noah Gregor and a 2025 second-round pick. But back to this Fabian guy. So I listened to I was shocked when I saw this trade. I was shocked because I think it was last season or in the summer, I was listening to Dropping the Gloves. It's with John Scott. Who's the other again? Tim Stapleton, I believe his name is. Or that's not. That's Knuckles podcast. No, how you doing, Tim? Yeah, it's Tim Stapleton, I believe. I could be wrong. But anyways, so they had this guy on and they interviewed him, and like he was, I think he was drafted by New Jersey. He got traded to San Jose, and he kind of popped off. And he was talking about like the youth movement there and how they were all gelling and like how he found his game and he's scoring goals. And it's just like, I thought this kid was going to be a big piece to their future. And then all of a sudden, boom, dealt to Ottawa. So it shocked me. I thought Fabian Zetterlund was kind of a core piece moving forward for San Jose. But anyways, this kid's good. He's really good.
Where's he from, John?
Sweden. So the fact that he does have better players to play with is probably going to be given a bigger role. Like Ottawa did good. They did really good. And
and they got rid of Gregor
a little bit. Noah Gregor. Yeah.
He's a nice kid from Lethbridge. Yeah.
No.
Isn't
You're thinking about Ridley Gregg.
I'm thinking about Ridley Gregg. Sorry.
Yeah, they're not getting rid of that guy.
They're not getting rid of him. Yeah.
I would take that
right.
kid in a second.
Yeah.
Dude, guess what though? Guess what? So Caitlin, what was this? My wife, Caitlin, for those listening. You know where she's going tomorrow?
New York.
Hey, but New York is involved. She, the anchor of CTV Ottawa, Patricia Bowl, she invited Caitlin to the hockey game tomorrow. It's
What game
Ottawa
is she
Senators. Ottawa Senators against the New York Rangers at 12 o'clock. In Ottawa.
In Ottawa?
Yeah.
What the get tick, man.
I know. I'm so jealous. I told her, I was like, I'm really jealous, actually, guys. I want to go. I mean, now that Dylan Cozens is going to be in the lineup, Zetterlund's going to be in the lineup, like, it's going to be so much fun. So
yeah, the crowd's
I'm
going to
jealous.
be wild, man.
Yeah,
Of
I think
course.
it'll be a fun game, man.
It's not like you have a hockey podcast or nothing, right?
No, exactly. It's not like I'm obsessed with hockey. Like,
No, not at all.
but that's okay.
That's
but
funny. Good for her, man.
yeah.
Well, good.
But yeah, the Sabres take a big risk, though, don't they? Because like
They're
if
going
Josh
backwards, man.
Norris
They're going backwards.
like I know they wanted a piece. They didn't want picks. They didn't want the futures. They wanted someone, and like. Josh Norris is a good hockey player, no question about it, but the kid gets injured so much. His shoulders are not good. You know what I mean? A few surgeries. He's missed significant time. And the fact that this is what you get back, and if he stays healthy, it probably works out well. If he doesn't stay healthy, it'll just be a disaster. And like I don't know why they keep letting Kevin Adams make trades. Yoki Haru,
Yeah.
I didn't have that one on, but like a nice little defenseman, 4th round pick gone. It's like okay, he was a first round draft pick, I think. But
Buffalo's in trouble. They got to quit trading and stick to the script, right?
yeah, you think so?
5-year goal? Yeah. I mean, if you're making a business plan, whether it's what's your end of year projections, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, when do you want to win a cup? You have to have your key pieces and then keep building on that as you keep dropping and building the bottom end. But like, man, they're not keeping their top ends. Like, you're not going to build a franchise if you keep selling your superstars, right? I don't understand it. And if I was a Buffalo fan, man, I'd be fucking pissed. I mean, at least they got a football team, right? But still, man, I just feel for that whole city right now. I don't know. I bet you Rasmus Dahlin is probably like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we are not... He's been there since day one, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Owen Powers. Yeah, I don't know, man. They got potential, but they just keep giving it away.
Yeah, I think you nailed that on the head, man. I think you nailed that on
Thanks,
the head.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Honestly, like, yeah. Like, I mean, you're right, though. Like, they've had so many, like, core pieces.
Yeah.
And that's, like, yeah. And, like, he had...
Reinhardt. Like, there's so many good guys that came from there, man. And, like, she gone.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that they replaced all of, like, that wave of great hockey players. They replaced it with another wave of good hockey players with, like, Thompson and Tuck and Skinner and Cozens and Middlestat. Like, they created another great core, young core. JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn. They created this wonderful core, and then they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know how to build around it. And then all of a sudden, JJ Peterka's on the block. Oh, now we get getting rid of Cozens. It's just like, okay, so all these core pieces. But like you said, like, no, keep the core pieces, let them develop into stars, and like build around them. Like, but if they had a plan, then maybe that's what they would do. Yeah, but they clearly didn't have a good plan.
They got to get a new GM, man. That's your biggest piece. And if you don't have a guy who's confident, like you're good as dead, man. And like, look at who's the GM for Pittsburgh right now? The ex Toronto.
Oh, Kyle Dubas.
Yeah, I think what Dubas wanted all along was to get Shen and trade him off, and he did that. So, yeah, I think he's trying to make up for his hiccups with Carlson, because they're in trouble too, I think, man. Like, they can't save a puck. I mean, yeah, they beat the Flyers, but whatever. I'm just saying. They've had a lot of games where it's been over 5 goals. Like, their goaltending's not looking good right now. No. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked.
I think they called up Jerry, too. But, like, yeah, but you're right. Luke Shen went to Winnipeg. That's a good move for Winnipeg. Yeah. Obviously, Luke Shen is a stud.
And
Tanev from Seattle. That's
left wing. He's a grinder, man. Back to the Jets. So, good grinder and then a solid D guy. Who is tough as nails, right?
He is, right? Oh yeah, honestly, one of the toughest.
He's one of the best. He's
like
for sure.
both of those Shens, man. Like I
Tough
if
as
they
nails,
wanted
man.
to be
They're
heavyweights,
so-
they could be heavyweights.
Yeah, totally.
Like
man.
if they wanted to fight more.
I think they're smart about it, right? I think.
That's just it. They don't do your typical.
You know what I've noticed though about the whole fighting? Do you know
Yeah.
I think who's got a short fuse? Is Mathieu Olivier. He's got a temper on him.
You think so?
Like I've watched a few of his games and he just gets game misconducts. Like he's got a button and if you press it, he can't contain the beast. Like I love it.
That is.
Like I was watching, I'm like, this guy's a fucking hothead. I love it. Like I'm happy they locked that guy down.
That's funny.
Because
Yeah.
man, yeah, I've noticed it. I'm like, huh.
Because he seems like a gentleman, though, right?
Dude.
Like
I remember
he kind of has that vibe
he
too, right?
Yeah, he likes going back home to Quebec, eat some poutine. Like he seems like a stand-up guy, gentleman. And it's same with Delorier.
Kind of like Delorier,
is
exactly.
He's a
right?
gentleman, and I think it's
Yeah.
a Quebecois. But yeah, man, they're just gentlemen, and a lot of Quebecois, man, tough as nails, and they're just, they're just one of the boys after the game. I love it.
You love the.
They
you
are
love those
though.
Quebecois, eh?
I do,
Claude
man.
Giroux.
And, like,
Claude Giroux. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish Claude Giroux had more of a personality. He's a good leader, but going back, I don't know if you remember Sean Moran. He played his last game probably 3 seasons ago. He was 6'6", first rounder.
Played Philadelphia at all or Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
No, he was Philadelphia. But he was like one of the toughest guys in the league. Probably 3-4 years ago. Just beat the shit out of everybody. You look at his fights, man. He's like the tallest guy, and he just fucking shocked.
Oh, really?
Love him. But yeah, he's on the development side for the Flyers now. But yeah,
Oh, nice.
I mean, Quebec. I mean, he's Quebecois. I'm just saying, man, these
Quebecois,
guys from the
those
Q,
Quebecers.
fucking tough as hell. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I mean they're not really
Anyways.
known, but
I don't know, man.
there's
George
some heavyweights,
Laraque.
man. George Laraque,
Dude,
Don Brashear.
go back-
Yeah, you're right.
You go back to the basics. Yes, you guys are known for some tough players. You produce some tough guys.
That's right.
Believe it
is
or not.
No, yeah, I think you're right. All right, man. Toronto. Did we speak of? Okay, so yeah. So obviously Toronto. Toronto made some good moves today. Scott Laughton will obviously went through that, but I mean the Leafs had two. They had a wish list of a third line center and the top 4
Deep.
defenseman. I'd say top 4. This guy might even play. Probably top 4. I don't know if he, but anyway. So the deal is Brandon Carlo, 28-year-old, coming from Boston, 6'5", 220 pounds, a shutdown defenseman. And to Boston, Fraser Minton, that's a good return. Top 5 protected first round pick in 2026, a 4th round pick in 2025, and Boston retains 15% of Carlo's contract. So, I mean, I think Boston did excellent in the return. But obviously the Leafs did really well with Brandon Carlo. Like,
Yeah, man.
I think,
a big
yeah,
body. Just a big body. Man, and Boston got rid of Brazeau yesterday too. Like
Right.
they're getting rid of a lot of their big boys.
yeah, and we'll get to the biggest.
Yeah,
one at
they're
the end
they're
here.
rebuilding.
They're
that
definitely
must be hard.
rebuilding.
That's gonna be hard for some fans, man.
Oh, yeah.
My dad texted his buddy Chris. He's from Nova Scotia, and he's like, "You're getting rid of your captain." And he's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They got rid of Marchand, but
I
he just
know.
probably can't accept that they're actually rebuilding. You got rid of
I know.
Tredrick, Brazeau, Carlo,
Yeah.
Coyle, Marchand.
Who else? I think
Yeah,
I feel like there's
accept
even
it.
more.
Accept
Yeah, that's wild, man. But
it is, man.
but yeah, Toronto had a vision. They
Yeah, man,
executed.
they did well.
They executed on. That's exactly what they wanted. Fraser Minton. I mean, obviously a high end
good
prospect. It's kind of crazy though, because like if you think about it, like the Leafs, their prospects, who do they have? Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton, Nikita, whatever his name was, who got traded to you.
Yeah,
Like he was right up there too. Like, they don't have a lot in their prospect pool. So, I mean,
They don't got many draft picks left either.
no, exactly. All their first-round draft picks are going away. I don't think they have one in 2025. They just got rid of their 2026 for Carlo.
Yeah.
Actually, when's the Laughton?
Well,
2026.
One has, yeah.
Okay. How do they have two?
After next year. They gave us one.
Oh, 2026. Okay, 2025
7.
they got Laughton. 2026 they got Carlo. Okay, so they okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, so yeah, good for the Leafs, obviously, and then they did trade Connor Dewar and Connor Timmins to the Penguins for a 5th round pick in 2025 just to relieve some of the cap issues. Nothing more than that. But yeah, you said it, and Brad Marchand dealt to the Florida Panthers, man. Unbelievable.
It's
And
crazy,
dude, man, did you see the
East.
return? So this is the return to the Bruins.
It's a buffer. It's a buffer, yeah.
It's a conditional 2027 second round pick if Marchand plays in 25% or more of Florida's games over the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. The pick becomes a 2028 first round draft pick.
That's fair. I thought they would have got more for him, though. I thought they would have got more. Like, you just gave him away. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I'd give that's like a B minus. You know, I think Toronto A for sure. They did well, but dude, Florida won that deal so good.
Like, yeah, like what'd they give up? Nothing.
Boston must be just fuck. I don't know. That's just disappointing, but whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be weird. I mean, seeing Marchand in a different jersey, but like, dude, man.
Well, hear me out. Hear me out, John. Hear me
Go
out.
ahead.
Hear me out. Okay. So, you have Laughton, who's a third line. Okay. Good centerman. Plays a pretty complete game. Shutdown guy. But we got a first round, and we got Nikita. Okay. Boston, and then you have Boston Marchand, like one of the legends, the biggest rat known to the NHL, unreal player. You're saying he's going to be a second round. If he plays great, we're going to give you a first.
I know.
Does that seem fair
right
to you? Doesn't
Yeah.
seem right. What is
No.
wrong with you, Boston? Give your head like, dude, Florida's probably just like, yep, clean living.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
kind
don't
of
know,
strange.
man. Very strange. And
Do you know what it
Briere had-
reminds me of?
No.
It reminds me of, remember when Chicago
Taylor Hall?
Chicago traded Patrick Kane to New York as a rental, and they got like a second round draft pick and a 4th round draft pick, and everyone's like, "What
cap
the
dump too?
fuck?"
Cap dump. Yeah,
But like
I think it's cap dump, but they could have got
made no
more. For him.
sense.
It doesn't make
But it's-
sense. It doesn't make
No.
sense.
But yeah, I mean, Brad Marchand's a free agent. Laughton still has a year left.
Correct.
But man, just picture Marchand, Kachuk, and Bennett on the same team. Like, watch out. Like, that's going to be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be. They're loading up. I'm excited
Yeah.
for the East, man. I'm not gonna lie. Fuck. Jets,
Yeah.
Dallas, New York Rangers. They're going for it. Ottawa's going for it. Toronto. They just got. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I think both conferences have just upped their
Yeah, I don't know.
up the
I
excitement,
think-
man. Well, you think
not
about
really.
Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado.
That's it, though. LA made one trade.
Yeah,
Edmonton did dick. Vegas did dick. Yeah, Colorado loaded up, but you have like Edmonton. They haven't won a. They're what?
yeah, they
2-8?
got a defenseman, right? They got Wallman, I think
Well,
his name
they
is.
got Wallman, but you need more than that. They should have got a goalie.
They definitely
They should have got rid of Pick. You should have traded Pickard for, a good season vet.
Do you know who I thought would be a good one? And I had this like discussion on one of our TikToks on the comments and stuff.
Mrazek?
And it was an Edmonton Oilers fan. I was like, why not just go get Mrazek for a backup and see what happens?
Because where did
He's
where
like,
did
that
he
guy's
go?
garbage.
Where did he go?
He's garbage. He went to
He can play
Detroit. I know.
Detroit, yeah.
He went to Detroit. Now Detroit's got like 3-4 goalies. And
Three
it's
goalies.
just like,
Yeah, they got Linen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's and just the fact that Edmonton Oilers, Kane's out till playoffs, so you have that money that you could have went.
Yeah,
got
for a year where Edmonton has to win the Stanley Cup, basically.
They dropped the ball.
You think they would have done more.
Man.
But they have a terrible GM. They have a terrible GM
man.
in Bowman. Terrible.
Yeah, because he came from Chicago, so he might have some bad juju with him still. I don't know. I don't like it. I cheer for all the Canadian teams. Vancouver. What the hell are you doing? They didn't do nothing.
No.
And if I was a Vancouver fan, you're just like Buffalo at this point. You're gave away Miller. He's having the best start. Hey, Pettersson got a goal tonight, so hey, congrats, Pettersson, for getting your 12th goal of the season. But yeah, Besser.
First goal in 25 games. Yes.
Yeah, Besser. They didn't sign him yet. They could have traded him. He's a restricted end of this year. What are you doing? You might have just lost that too. Demko's done. They traded
the team's
Soucy,
falling apart, man.
Oh
they
man,
did, yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
That's what. Speaking of that, speaking of Besser, man, I'm shocked. Not shocked, but I'm surprised that the Carolina Hurricanes, after they made that trade for Rantanen, that they have 2 first-round draft picks. I thought for sure one of them was going to Vancouver to grab Besser. Boom. And now you've done well. Now you've done really well. But no, they're going to hold on to Besser.
Yeah. I'm shocked that Ottawa or the Rangers couldn't pick him up. Or Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. It's a funny world.
Man. It's a funny world. But this day is over. The trade deadline is over. Everything's in place, and now we just get to sit back and enjoy the rest of the season. And I think that does it for another episode of the Barely Onside podcast. Thanks for listening, watching. Please follow us on Facebook and TikTok at Barely Onside Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also listen to us on Spotify.